Good evening. Welcome to the League of Women Voters Greater Verde Valley Candidates Forum for Republican candidates running for Yavapai County Supervisor in District 2. I am Mary Chiquen, a member of the League of Women Voters and your moderator for this evening's forum. The League of Women Voters would like to specially thank the David C. Johnson's American Legion Post 93 and family for letting us use their facility for this candidates forum. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization and neither supports nor opposes any candidate or political party. Our mission is to encourage informed and active participation in government, work to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influence public policy through education and advocacy. For the benefit of those who are unable to attend this evening's forum, it is being videotaped by Yavapai Broadcasting Verde Valley Television for broadcast on Cable 1, Channel 2. And if you didn't, please pick up the little sheet that was by the door that has all the times when each of the forums that the League of Women Voters has moderated is being televised. And it will be televised until the primary election on August 28th, and most of them will be televised twice a week. So you can watch them in the morning or the evening, whatever your preference is. The purpose of this forum is to educate and inform ourselves about the Republican candidates running for Yavapai County Supervisor in District 2. Our candidates are Tom Thurman, Martin Pangborn, and John McReynolds. These candidates will begin this evening with a 2-minute opening statement where they will talk about their background, their reason for running, and their qualifications. Before we hear from the candidates, I would just sort of like to give a few details as to the process as to how the forum is going to work this evening. Kathy Davis in the front row is our timekeeper. Her role is to keep us on time. She has 3 signs: 1 minute, 30 seconds, and stop. She will raise the stop sign when the candidate's time has ended, and the candidate will have just the opportunity to finish their sentence. Following the opening statements, candidates will then be asked to respond to 2 questions that were given to them in advance of this forum. And the candidates will have 3 minutes to answer each of these questions. As the candidates are speaking, I invite you, the audience, to write your questions on the 3x5 cards. When you have a question written, just raise your hand with the card, and one of the helpers who's here this evening will come by and pick up the cards from you and sort them together so that we can ask the candidates questions sometimes by subject, and just helps to get a sense of what the questions are from the audience. If you don't hear your question asked or specifically answered, all 3 candidates have agreed to stay after tonight's forum to speak with you personally and to interact with you if you have a specific question that you'd like to get answered. Our forum helpers this evening are League members Mary Gassaway, Donna Pratt, Robin Prudhomme-Bauer, and Allie Bauer. And they're at the back. They'll be, like I said, walking around and picking up the questions that you have this evening. So we are ready to begin. We will start with the opening statements of the candidates. The candidates drew numbers ahead of time as to who would start. Tom Thurman got number 1, so we will start with Tom with his 2-minute opening statement.
Well, first of all, I'll take part of that 2 minutes to thank the League of Women Voters. I really appreciate all that they do for Yavapai County as a whole here in the Verde Valley and over in the Prescott area. So thank you for having this. I'm the existing county supervisor. I'm the chair of the Board of Supervisors. This is my 3rd time of being the chair. I've been married. I just had our 39th anniversary. We had a couple boys and we got 3 grandchildren. I was a general contractor, residential and commercial, after my education going into electronics, I found out I really wasn't a lover of electronics, and so I went into construction like a lot of people do when they don't know what else to do. And I ended up being a residential contractor. 4 years later, I became a commercial contractor, did that for 25 years. I was the chairman of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. I was the I was the chairman of the Yavapai County Planning and Zoning Commission for 3 of the 5 years that I was on there. The only reason I dropped out of that was because I ran for supervisor, and I ran against an incumbent, and I beat her, and that's that story. And I have been now supervisor. This is the end of my 2nd term. I lived most our adult life in the Dewey-Humboldt area and Prescott Country Club, and we live now on the outskirts of Mayer, and have had a great life. I'm real happy with what's happening, but I have a lot of things that I want to do left to do. We're working on some trails right now. We've got some badly needing buildings that we still need to do. We've been very fortunate what we've done at the county level. We've actually lowered property taxes last year 10%. We were the only county in Yavapai County in the state of Arizona to do that. And so I'm very proud of my record. And in my closing statements, I'll tell some of the other things that we've done. And I have a lot more that I would like to do. And so with that, I have the stop sign. So thank you.
I'm Martin Pangburn, and I really appreciate the League of Women Voters putting this together. This is, these forums have been educational. They've been very exciting for me. I've never been in politics before. I've come alongside politics before. And with a TV program we had in Phoenix, and we used to feature a lot of government, like Matt Salmon, Russell Pierce, and Russell Pierce got me in a lot of trouble with the TV network at that time because we both started escalating our voices about illegal immigration. Network called us down. I've been married for 36 years to Peggy. Peggy outclasses me. She is a childbirth educator. She teaches people how to have natural childbirth unmedicated, the Bradley method. And she gave me 4 wonderful sons. I've been an efficiency expert, an investigator for UPS, intercepting shipments of drugs, and then setting up a sting for those. I've been involved in logistics, traffic manager, restaurant manager, customer service, quality control with Del Webb Housing Communities. I'm a bishop overseer. My recent ordination about 10 years ago was as a bishop overseer of Churches for Africa. I've been a pastor of 2 churches here recently, and one very large church in the valley. I've been a media TV host for a few years, and we are also an actor in a movie, and blah, blah, blah. Got a lot of, too much. I mean, that takes the whole 2 minutes just to talk about that. But I'm running to preserve a way of life. I want to speak out loud and clear about the fact that we must preserve the way of life that we have in America. The freedoms we have, the freedoms that we're losing, I want to speak out loud and clear and say we're not going to lose those things. Somehow, on every level of candidacy, whether it be local, state, or national, we have to scream loud and clear that we're not going to take some of the things that's coming down to us. We're losing too many freedoms, and we've got to take back, and we've got to restore the America that was. Before the stop sign. Do I get 5 points for stopping early?
You get added later.
John.
Good evening. I'd also like to thank the League of Women Voters. My name is John McReynolds. I was raised in Flagstaff. I served in the United States Marine Corps. I've been a Yavapai County resident for 35 years. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Babe. We have 2 children and 6 grandchildren. I'm a small business owner from the Verde Valley for the last 30 years. I've served on the interim council for the town of Camp Verde when we first incorporated. I've served on the Housing Commission. I've served on the First Sign Ordinance Commission. I've also been the food service director for the Camp Verde Unified School District in the past. Been a post member here at Post 93 for over 23 years. I'm presently serving on the Food Service Safety Council for Yavapai County. I'm a board member and the ditch boss of the Eureka Irrigation Ditch Company. With my experience in a wide range of different values, I've always stepped up to a leadership role, from a young sergeant in the Marine Corps to a business person to a public servant. I've always made sound decisions. I've always respected personal property rights. I listen to all sides of the issue, study and share my feelings with all persons involved and make good common sense decisions. I'm hardworking. I will supervise, serve, and represent District 2 to the fullest. I will receive our county share of revenue and for our district. 30 seconds to go. Cool. I'm very happy to be here. It's been most exciting running for political office. I would encourage anybody to take the adventure that we've been on. It's truly a great American thing to do.
Thank you. Now we will move on to the two questions that the candidates have been given ahead of time to prepare for this evening. To answer these questions, they will each have 3 minutes. And for the first question, we will start with Martin. And that question is, Chip Davis, in his years representing this area, has developed relationships with many of the unincorporated communities, such as the Cornville Community Association, Cornville Historical Society, Stewards of Public Lands, and Beaver Creek Regional Council. He has also helped develop many projects in the area, such as visioning and community plan implementation, Cornville Multi-Use Trail, the need for pedestrian bridge at Oak Creek in Cornville, Stewards of Public Lands voucher program, law enforcement, traffic control, and road improvements, to name just a few. What would you do to continue these relationships and projects and transition from Supervisor Davis to yourself in the Beaver Creek, Cornville, and Camp Verde areas in this new district? And would you expand these efforts to include other unincorporated areas such as Mayer and Cordes Junction? Martin.
Yes, I certainly would. It must include Mayer and Cordes Junction. One of the first things I think I would do is I would get in touch with Chip Davis and get a overview of everything that he has started, implemented, and followed through on. One of the things we have to do is continue, especially the first year while we're in this learning curve of supervisory position, we'd have to follow what they've done before us. I've got some ideas that I think would be grand for our county and for especially these districts you spoke of. One is like in the Beaver Creek area, that bridge that is very unsafe. I want to see us put some dollars there and get that bridge safe for the residents on the other side of that bridge. He's done some wonderful things. I think it's evident by the fact that Chip has no one running against him, and not to say that Tom Thurman hasn't done a wonderful job too, but there is some people running against him. But I want to make sure that we have some new programs that are outside the box. I want to restore to Camp Verde especially these 2 free dump days that we lost here. That was a big issue. Citizens were really taking responsibility here in the town of getting their trash out, and now what we're finding is these trails are littered with the trash. People can't enjoy these trails just outside of town here because people can't even afford, some people can't afford the dump fee, so they have to just take it and dump it or leave it in their yard. I want to make sure we restore that to the county. I want to make sure that we all get to that meeting on Friday from 9 to 12 at the Muck building here in town, where ADOT is coming into town to share with us ideas and for the next round of talks for the widening of Highway 260. I think Highway 260 is our real opportunity, especially in this town right now. We have one of the greatest things right next to us, an interstate highway that we're not making good use of. I'd really like to see our community promoted to 5-star hotels. I'd like to see more truck stops. I'd like to see some industry right here from the interstate and right down Highway 260. I think that's a golden opportunity to get the rest of that land bought and get some real infrastructure in there. I want to court businesses from around the country, and we got to bring some jobs right here to this county and right here to Camp Verde, and this interstate is a golden opportunity for us to capitalize on that. More points? I get more points? I got 5 points. That's okay.
John.
I believe we can all agree that Chip Davis is a wonderful act to follow. He set a high standard. He represented his district, District 3, well. That is part of us. The many accomplishments he's made, I will follow. When we talk about the stewards of the public lands, there's a lot of people involved in that. I'd like to recognize Mayor Diane Jones from Cottonwood. She's really involved on that side of the hill. Here in Camp Verde, we have Mayor Bob Burnside. I don't see him out there today because he is leading the town of Camp Verde tonight. And I have a good buddy named Jim Schweitzer that's really involved into that. These people go out and they clean up trash that people have dumped. They do it voluntarily. They load their trucks, use their own vehicles. They haul things to the landfill. And with the resources the county has, they give them a voucher, and they, for the material value or the dump value, the stewards are reimbursed for the tonnage or the weight that they hauled there. And that money goes back into a grant that keeps the grant going. I'm very proud of those people. For the community plans, Cornville, Lake Montezuma, Rimrock, Cordes Lakes, Mare, in lots of different places. The greatest thing that I've found in attending community meetings is the number of people that are involved that are out doing the meetings. I've been very impressed with them. There's many people that are active. I just can't say too many names, but I have been in contact with them. I will continue to stay in contact with them. And their community plans, I believe the county has to work forward with that and work with them. There's a great bunch of people out there, and we need to keep them going, and they will have all my support. I think, got a minute left? All right. Cool. I am very appreciated for meeting these people, and I believe that District 2 is a diverse area. We have a lot in common with our neighbors on the other side of the mountain. I think it's a good selection because we're all in the same rural area. We have very much the same problems, and I'm looking diligently forward to working with them and staying in contact with them. I believe that's the job of the supervisors to do that. I think I can end there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Tom?
Yes. I kind of cheat because I've been in the office for quite a while now, and I've got a good standing with every community that I've worked with. From Congress threatening me that they're going to come bulldoze my house if I don't move down there because they didn't want to lose me. Prescott, of course, I had the southern third of Prescott, and they were very happy with me. I'm doing a lot of work on the courthouse that's so badly needed. I had the bulk of Prescott Valley as my district right now, and I've done quite a few projects with them, including community dump days and flood control projects. And so even though they're a municipality, people go, well, the county doesn't have anything to do in the municipalities. I disagree with that. I think we can do a lot with that, let alone property taxes and working with that. They talked a little bit about dump days. I, in my district, changed the way we did dump days. They used to do one free dump day a year in each one of the communities. And it was crazy that you would have 60, 80 people working there trying to do these dump days that were just, it was nuts. And so I changed that. I said, you know, at the transfer stations, let's go ahead and open them up for 2 or 3 weeks, just on the regular days that they're normally open. We reduced the employees to about 6, and we actually saved money and collected a lot more trash. So I'm very proud of that. Some of the other things that I've done also is that the Meals on Wheels program was having a real hard time. It was being run in Prescott by a group of administrators, if you will. And I think most of you understand what the Meals on Wheels program is. And as the chair of NACOG, and by the way, I'm on 17 boards and I chair most of those. And as being the chair of NACOG, I had real problems with the Agency on Aging and the Meals on Wheels program. As an example, in Mayor, they did a fundraiser and they actually collected $4,000 in that fundraiser. And almost none of that came back to Mayor. So I went in and I fired everybody. And I made every Meals on Wheels program now standalone. So when they collect $4,000 on a Meals on Wheels program, they get to keep the $4,000. And it's worked out excellent. I can tell you, as far as roads go, I have been extremely pleased with what this board has done for roads. We have done over $250 million worth of roads in Yavapai County since I took office, pushing ADOT and other groups to get these roads done, and our half-cent sales tax, for the purpose of none other than trying to keep people safe. We need people to get from point A to point B, but we need to do it safely. And a lot of folks don't necessarily like more highways, but if it saves a life, that's what I'm for. And my 3 minutes is up already? Wow, I could go on for an hour.
Thank you, Tom. Our second prepared question. With only 2 incorporated areas in the new district, Dewey Humboldt and Camp Verde, and the development and adoption of community plans on hold, Beaver Creek and Williamson Valley, what responsibility should the county have for any planned economic development of the less populated, unincorporated portions of the county through the use of zoning changes and individual project planning approvals? John, you're on first.
I believe that it's county's responsibility to promote small businesses, to promote proper zoning, to promote proper planning for these smaller communities. The county has a great responsibility, and they should overwatch and take care of and participate in all these communities. In an incorporated area, they have their own laws, so the county's got to regulate and control what happens. Yavapai County has a good possibility to take advantage and promote all these things. I would look forward to working with all these individuals and to promote businesses and get the traffic flow going and get things happening. Each and every opportunity to rezone property, we have to look at the individual's property, the individual's property owner's rights, and the availability to do their projects. The county should supervise and be sure and participate in that all the zoning requirements are met and all the infrastructure is done properly. If you look at some communities, you can see where they built without a vision and without a plan, and that's the largest problem that we have all over Yavapai County. It's kind of a situation that happened in the past. I believe that we should be able to control that, and with each community, they should take their own idea and bring a proper plan, and the Board of Supervisors should help and support them in doing that. That's the only way we're going to make Yavapai County grow and prosper and welcome it to the entire country. There's a lot of potential here. We talked about the 260 corridor. That's a large majority of that property is in the town of Camp Verde. There is a little county property left along there. I think the biggest thing that we're looking at is the interchange on I-17 in Cordes Lakes, the Highway 69. There's potential there to get that corridor going and moving well. The county has an opportunity to receive the sales tax and to get involved with that and also help offset expenses for the taxpayers. Thank you. That's good.
Tom.
As representing the largest of the 3 districts for the last close to 8 years, I've worked with all of the communities that I have that are unincorporated heavily. Supervisor Davis actually has 3 unincorporated communities, over 1,000 people. Supervisor Springer has 4. I had 7. Supervisor Davis has 2 community parks. Supervisor Springer had 4. I had 7. I got 1/3 of the funding. I've had to stretch these dollars left and right to go as far as I could. And when it comes to the community plans, you have to literally help these folks. Staff has been great to work with, like Cornville. They've done a great job in Cornville. However, the state legislature changed the rules. And when they did that, there's no longer what they call a general plan anymore. It's actually a comprehensive plan. So no longer are community plans part of the system. So now they're calling them vision plans. And with these visioning plans, what happens there is it actually does open the door for more funding. We have a lot of different ways of getting grant funds from either the state of Arizona or the feds. And when we come in connection with them at more of the language that they like, that is when we can get more money. And I know a lot of folks are not necessarily always in agreement that we should be getting money from the feds or the state, because they're going to have all kinds of red tape to go with it, and sometimes it does. But you know what? If we don't take it here in rural Arizona, I guarantee you Maricopa County's going to get it. And you know, we're people too. Some of the things that I've done also to try to help these local communities is the Black Canyon Trail. We've brought the Black Canyon Trail now literally up from the Phoenix area out on Carefree Highway, is now all the way to the border of Prescott National Forest. We've flown over Mingus. We have the route now to come over Mingus, come through Camp Verde area, have connectivity with Cornville and Beaver Creek and Camp Verde, and bring it into the Coconino National Forest. And so this is a great way to create jobs, help the communities, and get hopefully kids off the couch and turn off the video games, because that really gripes me that happens so much. I've been in office long enough now that I've gotten a lot of connections to be able to get grant funds. And as I just stepped down as the chair of the Northern Arizona Council of Governments. I'm right now the chair of the Rural Transportation Advisory Council. That's for roads. Supervisor Davis and I voted to loan ADOT the money to accelerate Highway 260, the part that's been done already from Corey all the way into Cottonwood. We fronted, if you will, the money to ADOT to put that road in ahead of time. And they just paid us back. There's multitude of ways to keep going with roads, with community plans, with parks, if you know how to stretch the dollar and you know how to get in there and do what is needed. Thank you.
Martin.
Thank you. One thing I want to say is that government is never the answer. What I see happening on a national, state, and local basis is we're being choked to death with regulation after regulation. I'm all for community development, economic development, and I think that one of the things that I would do as a supervisor is be a grand cheerleader, because our departments, we have 18 departments that we're supervising, but they're doing a wonderful job with what they have to work with. I think we could be a great encourager. We should always be visionaries, look into things that somebody might not have thought of yet. Bring in experts from the outside to say, have you considered this yet? There's so many things that we could consider doing, especially in these unincorporated areas. Just for an example, Dewey-Humboldt. We talk about Dewey-Humboldt, you know, they had an opportunity to have their own water company. They had an opportunity to really become an independent town, but with the fighting that was happening in the town, they refused that water company, and it went by the wayside. I was up in Cornville. We had a little forum in Cornville not long ago. I think some of you were there. And I was kind of in shock with, I hope this one person that spoke didn't represent the whole community, but I said with a background in media, what we'd like to do is maybe feature Cornville and maybe do some documentaries, because we have ways and lots of connections in media that we could do a beautiful documentary about Cornville, let that be aired all over the world to promote tourism and the businesses that are along that district. And the response was, we don't want that here. In fact, what we want is for you to shut the door and leave us alone. Now, I can't believe that represented Cornville, but I have to say that's my idea. My idea is always to promote business and connect things together. When I was in Africa, I had a almost nomination. It was very, very close by the Bush administration to be nominated as ambassador to Somaliland. And one of the things I loved about that potential position was connecting things together. I think it's very important that we can connect industry around the country. We can connect a number of things right here. I want to tap 3 resources in the county, and that's the retired CEOs and executives who are movers and shakers in their industry. And I want to tap them for, I got 30 seconds, I want to tap them for information, tap them as a task force to put things together that we might not have considered before. Fundraising arms, it wouldn't cost the county a single dime, but we need to, especially where this highway runs through Cordis Junction and up through here, we need to make sure that we're fulfilling everything that we could possibly do to bring business here, jobs here. Do you know in the last 2 years, Camp Verde has lost 2,000 residents because they simply say they have no jobs?
Thank you. We're now going to go to the audience questions. And as is my right as moderator, I get to change things a little. So for this first question, I'm going to give each candidate 2 minutes to answer, because I'm going to expand a little bit on the question that's being asked. I think it's an excellent question. And we start with John, I believe. No, we're back to Tom on this one, right?
Okay.
Yep. Okay. What, in your opinion, is the most important issue for this new district to work on, and why? And my addendum, what are other key critical issues that we should be working on as well? Start with the most important, and what other critical issues should we address? 2 minutes.
Well, I think the biggest jobs, I guess you could put under all of those titles. And a lot of folks, as Martin was alluding to earlier, they don't want any growth. You know, every time that we get onto some magazine that says that we're in the top 10 place to retire, it's great. We sell some homes, we get some service jobs because of it. But on the flip side, most of those folks don't want it to change here like it was where they came from. So they become extremely anti-growth. And so we've got to understand is we're going to continue to lose our children. And it's just going to be bedroom communities if we continue that type of philosophy. We've got to have some jobs for the younger folks, plain and simple. Number 2 is water. How can we create new commercial projects that creates jobs, or actually do subdivisions, or allow, we can't help it, we have to allow wildcat subdivisions because there are lot splits, and that goes back to the Constitution. We can't stop somebody from building as much as people would like to think we can. We can't. But we need to work with a lot of the subdividers, if they do subdivide, reduce the amount of houses coming in, cluster those houses, put in infrastructure so that they got a water bill, and if they use too much water, they can actually raise the price of the water to curtail on how much water usage. And take the sewage, instead of septic tanks, put it in a sewer plant, and then you can reuse the effluent. We have a myriad of ways to go ahead and make this work. It's just we have to have people on this board to be able to think out of the box, to appreciate what can be done, and not just do things as they were before. And that to me is some of the biggest hurdles that we have, other than this fight between that side of the mountain and this side of the mountain. And I've said this before, I'm sick of it. It's going to stop.
Thank you. Martin?
Well, let me start by saying that I'm sick of it too. We heard a few weeks ago that we simply, since we live on that side of the mountain, have the wrong zip code. But I tell you, we're one county. We both use Gray Wolf landfill, and we both use Costco. I mean, we're one county, we're one people. I mean, one prosperous people together. United we stand. Remember that? I feel like in District 2, our best days are yet ahead of us. And if we'd have that mindset, we could accomplish a lot. What I keep hearing is, oh, dark days, it's a horrible economy. That may be true, but creative people and the most creative ideas and things surface in the most difficult of times. We're Americans. We become very resourceful at that time. One of the things that I'm most concerned about is the safety of our citizens. Did you know that today's newspaper in the Verde Independent, front page, a young teenager died from the use of, well, let's just call it drugs. I'm very concerned about that. I talked to Sheriff Scott Mesher yesterday. He said he's stepping up the efforts. going to step up the efforts in all things related to drugs. I want to make sure that our sheriff has all the tools to work with. I want to bring some officers in from other parts of the world to get experience and trained. I want to also send some of our officers to other parts of the world. We'll find a way to do that, not using county money, I promise you that. Camp Verde alone had to initiate, as of this month, August 2nd, had to initiate a 1-cent sales tax. Only because they're losing so many people. There's no infrastructure here. There's really not the jobs. So to survive as a town, we had to implement a 1-cent sales tax. That should not be. There was a referendum, but it went nowhere. But they had to do that in order to survive. We've got to turn this around. There's some key communities that we can turn around, and I think we will. Mr. Thurman spoke about water, and water is certainly some of the biggest answers we have right now to get. I'm all for recharge. We must be recharging the aquifers. We have to. I'm all for looking for alternate ideas. I've been told to stop. I was just gonna, I had extra points. I was just gonna give you a good one.
John.
I believe that the #1 issue is and always will be is water. We have got to conserve, we've got to protect our water resources. We live in the Verde Valley. We have the ability to conserve and share the water. That's what my major objective is. I would follow that very closely. Without water, we can't talk about anything else. The second thing is naturally the economy and jobs. I favor small business. I favor the county to be involved in that, promoting that. If you can get a business started, help them, assist them, waive an impact fee, assist a small business owner, get something happening, make things happen. It may be just a service job at the beginning, but we can keep people working. That's the whole problem. There's not enough jobs, there's not enough light industry, not enough solar research. These companies are out there and they could have a divine opportunity to be in Yavapai County, in District 2. I also favor most public things is naturally the public safety. I haven't talked to Sheriff Masher very much, but I do know what he stands for. I know what the department stands for, and as always in all law enforcement agencies, they're there to protect the public. They need our support, and I'm willing to back them 100%. When we talk about the sales tax issue in Camp Verde, that saved the town. But I believe that if the town worked a little harder, with a little less government, cut a couple of things here and there, and cut corners and watch what goes on. When life is good, they take all the money, and the same way in the county, and they spend too much of it. They don't look for the bad times. Well, the bad times are hopefully behind us now. We got a lot to look forward to, and we can work together on that. Watch it closely. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question. Can you tell us about how you will work with the other supervisors to work on issues facing our county? Martin, you're first.
Yeah, I'm very much a team player. Every success I've ever had in life is by empowering other people, and their success was always my success. I'm a communicator. I work well with other people, and I would think that we have to look at issues together. I think we have to look at both sides of the mountain, but issues in Wickenburg are just as important as issues in Rimrock. And if a supervisor is having a difficult time in Seligman, we need to go there with him to help sort out that problem, whatever it may be, offer suggestion, maybe just food for thought, but we have to support each other. There's no other way. You know, there's a law that when there were 3 supervisors, really 2 couldn't communicate together because that was against the law and considered that they would, yes, quorums. Thank you. What else, Tom? We're getting along so well. I mean, this is a Republican forum, but we've gotten along so well in this process. I mean, Mr. Thurman has been looking out for me, telling me which meetings to go to, and it's really been a beautiful experience, and I would think that it would continue as one of us may be elected to that board. And I'll save my extra points.
I've always been a team player from the time I was in the Marine Corps till the time I sat on the interim town council. I sit on the Yavapai Food Safety Council where we work with 15 or 16 other people. I've always participated. I've never done anything alone. I have the ability to work with people. I look forward to working with the other supervisors. There's a bunch of good candidates from all the other districts, some great candidates. I look forward to working with them. I know with my ability to negotiate, share my thoughts, and listen to their thoughts, we can work together on it. Back when there was just 3, it was it was unethical to do. It still is, so you got to still stand your own ground. But at least in a good work session, you'll have the ability to have 5 different opinions, 5 different ideas, and you can share and work together and get the job done right. That's the best for all people. Sometimes I've had vote against my wishes, but I've always stood my ground, and I'll always voice my opinion of my wishes and what I determined right. I believe I have the ability to work well with them, and I'm looking forward to working well with the other supervisors. And we should, when an issue comes up, we should go review that. If it is in Seligman, Ash Fork, or whatever, or if it's in Mirror, or if it's in Cordis Lakes, or in Rimrock, we need to all be together and go there together on all issues and determine what needs to get done. Back to the water issue, water's water, and we have to have the ability to ensure that we have water for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom.
I was talking earlier to someone here that I really was against going to 5 supervisors. I thought this was bad timing. I'm very proud of my record as being a supervisor. We have a great capital improvement program going on. We needed a new juvenile center badly, and so we voted to do that. We had kids sleeping on the floor. Our morgue was 35 years old. It had no security. The equipment in it was antiquated. It was time. That needed to be done. We've had to do a couple other buildings. And you know what? Not only did we lower property taxes last year, we have $21 million in the bank, and I'm very proud of that. But I was still against going to 5 supervisors. I think it's still bad timing. I think the economy right now, folks, is still scary. It's still on the edge, and we don't know what's going to happen. And to go to 5 right now costs the taxpayer, us, almost $250,000 to do this. But it was mandated by the state legislature. And I tried to fight it down there, and I was flat told, stay out of it. We're going to do it. And there's 2 other counties that were also mandated to do that, and Mojave County being one of them. They wanted to stay to 3, and they couldn't do it either. So it is what it is. But I will say it will be nice to be able to talk to another supervisor. I have not been able to do that except for in an open meeting because it did create a quorum. And so maybe we can get some things done that maybe we couldn't do before because of that. It's been brutal on us. It's been brutal on me. I've been the swing vote. Everybody always, you know, we had Supervisor Spring on one side, Supervisor Davis on the other side, and I was always the one to try to get everybody get along. And it's been brutal. And that part of it, I'm very happy to say will go away. Plus, being on 17 boards, it's been a real education for me. But I don't have to do that anymore. There'll be more supervisors, so I can put some of them on some of the other boards. But I do like it, so I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to clarify, because we have the time, I'm going to allow the candidates 2 minutes on each of the audience questions, because it seems that they need more than a minute in many cases to respond. And if they don't need the minute, they're great at stopping. Okay, the next question, and we're going to start with John. What is your position on the new electric meters with APS?
The digital flyover satellite things?
Yes, sir.
A little bit frightful, but the thing that scares me about them most is they lose jobs. You're going to lose your meter reader. I kind of opposed it. I know I had one installed at my father's house. This was in Flagstaff. And we all kind of didn't like the idea, but maybe it's better, maybe it's higher tech or whatever. But I'm also afraid of Big Brother. It's one more time that people watch you, they look over you, and they know what you're doing without you knowing. It could be, I don't know how far the electric meter will go, but If they get the electric thing, then they'll be after your water, or they'll want to control you some more. I think it's pretty much invasion of private rights. They should know what electricity they're selling you, but I still favor the good old handshake way, and a meter reader coming to give him my dog a bones.
So it
little
doesn't
treat.
bite him?
Yeah, instead of biting him or whatever. But you know, I still like the old-fashioned way. But if it's better for the society, then it probably should be. But I will say, watch out for Big Brother, and that's kind of what I believe is going on.
Tom.
Yeah, as a licensed ham operator, I understand the electronics that has gone into the smart meters. I was a little bit against the smart meters myself. It does sound like Big Brother's getting too big, but on the flip side, you got to look at, you know, progress. As far as commercial goes, when you have apartments, if you have rentals, things like that, where you have people that have a tendency maybe not to pay their bill, or they're moving in, they can do it right from the office now. You don't have to wait a day or two for somebody to come out and do it. The transmitter in it that a lot of folks are scared about, that is emitting some sort of radio frequency that might harm them, is no stronger than what it is in a cell phone. So if you use a cell phone, that's right up to your head. And so unless you're sleeping with one right behind the wall, it's not going to really be any more than a cell phone. And it only transmits it every so often. Am I against them? You know, APS told me, I complained to APS about it too, about the loss of jobs. And they said they are not laying off anybody. They have enough of these meters out in the boonies and other places that they have not changed out yet, that they can keep these employees. The rest are either through attrition, which is that they're either retiring or they leave for some reason, or they'll do a lateral transfer and they'll use them somewhere else. So there hasn't been any lost jobs. So, you know, it is what it is. Is it Big Brother getting bigger? You know, is APS Big Brother? You know, I'm from the government, trust me. You know, I don't know, you know, I disagree with that. I don't look at myself as being a politician. I look at myself as being a public servant. And so I think that's what you should do, especially here at the grassroots level. Thank you.
Thank you. Martin?
I'm very much opposed to these new meters. I worked with a family recently that had, in fact, their bedroom on the other side of the wall from this meter, and they were getting very sick. And I have a friend in Phoenix who has a unique machine that she can diagnose things that are wrong with your body. You hold on to 2 probes, and about 4 minutes later, the machine is called a Syra, but it'll diagnose everything wrong with your body. And what was happening to these people is they were getting these radio frequencies were affecting their brain, they were affecting their health. And so I am absolutely not a fan of these meters. I want to see them go away. I think the intrusions of government in most facets are too much. I think that we have to be the final boots on the ground, the watchdog of what's coming down from the federal government. And that's what I intend to do. I'm hearing some things that I don't like the sound of at all. It sounds like Agenda 21 coming and private property rights. And John McReynolds spoke of the water. You know, I've been hearing that there's discussions about even taking and putting water meters on private citizens' wells. Excuse me, but if it's on my watch in Yavapai County, it's not going to happen. We've got to scream loud and scream clear and send a message that we are a sovereign county within a sovereign state. And you watch Proposition 120 by November this fall, and if that gets passed, that'll greatly improve our stand as a state to become a much more defined sovereign state. And therefore, what would happen is we could tell the federal government, get out of our state, because we're much better and knowledgeable. We can do a much better job controlling our air, our water, our citizens, our land, and our resources. We're much better than you are. Everything you do, federal government, you fail at. So we've got to speak loud, we've got to speak clear, we've got to raise up people. I think even before this November election, we have to raise up people to yell and scream with all their might. These things are not going to happen. This is part of Obamacare. These things are coming down the pike, and I don't want any way, shape, or form of it in our county.
The next question. Do you support the building of the new $12 million jail facility in the Prescott area? And how does that affect the tax dollars we pay in the Verde Valley? Tom?
You have right now in place a 1/4 cent jail tax. That was created and approved by the voter as a 1/2 cent sales tax, but it was never used. They only used a 1/4 cent of it because that's all they needed at the time to build a jail over here in Camp Verde. Now, the Prescott area is saying that it costs, and it does cost a lot of money, to go back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. And it does cost a lot of money. And when 1/3 of the crime has been over here and 2/3 is over there. It's also made it very difficult for law enforcement agencies to book somebody, because now they got to drive them all the way over here, and that includes our own sheriff's department, because they arrest people in Baghdad and by Wickiup. In fact, we go out that far and down in Wickenburg and all these far out places, and so it's cost the county a lot of money having the transportation back and forth. We came up with an idea of actually creating 2 big buses. So they were using vans going back and forth, a bunch of little vans. And so now we have 2 like prison buses. You've seen them probably in Cool Hand Luke and things like that. They're a little bit nicer than that. But that has saved us some funding there going back and forth. As far as, do I believe we should build a jail over there right now? We have no money to do that. You know, Sheriff Masher, who by the way is endorsing me, I'm pro law enforcement, and I come from the law enforcement side of the family and military on my dad's side. We don't have the money. There's absolutely no way. We bought the land for it in the future. Someday we're going to have to get it, I understand. But that 1/4 cent jail tax is going to have to go to a 1/2 cent to be able to do it. Because it's one thing building the building, but the other thing is actually housing it with detention officers, clerical, another nurse, another doctor, all these different things that you have in a jail that we don't have any money for. That's like Williamson Valley Road widening. You know, how come you're doing Williamson Valley Road? We're not. There's no money for that.
I think that's exactly right. I don't want to see that new jail at the present time. We don't have the funding for it. But what I'd like to see with the existing jails that we do have is some expanded programs that would create jobs in jails. And I'd like to see some things like metal fabrication. I'd like to see some skills building. I know some of that is happening now, but I'd like to see it expanded to even market that around the United States, things that would bring revenue to our county. I know that Sheriff Masher is doing a wonderful job right now of renting out bed space. And we have extra bed space. If any of you are interested in staying there, we have some extra bed space. But that's one way for the jails to bring in that revenue. But I'd like to see us expand those things. In everything, I'm just trying to think outside the box. What else could we do that we haven't maybe thought of yet? There's some wonderful ideas. There's some wonderful, maybe even some candidate bumper stickers could be made in the jails. We could find some very creative things to say on those bumpers. I'm just giving you some ideas. I still have a minute. Oh my gosh, let's go. What I'd really like to see happen is some reform projects in our jails to really help our inmates. And you know, we must do a better job on the outside, because so many people are getting in trouble with the drugs. So many people are getting in trouble with alcohol related. I know we have state laws now that about drinking, but I'm very concerned that some parts of that law are so harsh that people sometimes can never get the money to get free from that. I mean, they are on probation, they can't find the money to do what training, so they end up back in jail. Some of that I'd like to see change just a little bit, but I know we have to keep our public safe. That's the most important thing.
John.
What I believe about jails is when they build one, they build a really nice building. I think when you commit a crime, you don't need to live in the Hilton. I think people have human rights, but I also believe in the tent city. I believe that with the new jail we have here, that we should, in the Verde side here, I believe that they should look first at revamping the old jail in Prescott, seeing what they can do there to take care of that. If you look at the new juvenile detention center they're building, it's a beautiful building. Beautiful buildings cost lots of money to build. I think just looking at the outside of it, as you drive by, I see a lot of waste in architect, a lot of waste in different designs. It's not a motel, it shouldn't be a motel. The world would be great if we didn't need jails, if we could ever get to the point where civilization and humans didn't need one. That would be the wonderful thing. I think we should teach our youth, educate our youth, show them the difference between right and wrong, and then maybe show them what happens when you go wrong. We need to keep our youth busy and keep them working hard, keep them active, keep them in school, get them occupied. If it's school, church, or whatever, or just in a sports program or whatever, that keeps kids from getting into problems. I believe in humans working together, and if people had jobs, they wouldn't be in trouble near as much. I think I can end that there. Thank you.
What do you see as the most valuable asset in this district to be maintained, and why? Martin?
Asset. I'd say our land. We have to keep our land, and also I would like to see us get a hold of more of the BLM land for private ownership. I think it's very, very important. Greatest asset is you, the citizens. I just can't say that enough. I'm a people person. Been all over the world to connect with people. I've seen people of every culture, and you are the most important asset we have in this county. That's why I want to raise up task force teams of retired executives and CEOs, and also retired military and former military, because I think we can, there's so many things we could do with a former military. Raise up a political action committee. We can get a lot of things done in the state or even nationally. But I'm really concerned about our youth. Our youth, when they get of age, they want to move out. They want to go to another place where there's industry, tech, any kind of jobs like that. And I'm saying that's wrong. I'd like to keep the youth in this area. Even two of my children would love to move back here, but they can't because there's not the jobs they're trained for. They're trained in tech jobs. And I'd like to see that. I'd like to see a youth force raised up throughout the county that we could work with and listen to them. One of the things I learned in homeschooling two of my children was kids have valuable opinions to say as well. If we'll listen to our children and find out what motivates them and what excites them and help them move in that direction, they'll stay excited. Like the Louisville, Kentucky school system has a program where you go to your class in the morning, you're bused to a central hub. Later in the day, you could be bused to another location, maybe to learn aviation, how to fly an airplane, how to do a trade. I want to bring that, something like that here to our county that would keep our youth excited, keep them developing, keep them getting new ideas, and help develop new ideas with them.
I believe our biggest asset in Yavapai County is being rural. We have open spaces, we have open lands, we have the ability to control it. I believe we don't need to purchase any more state-owned land or any government land for private property. There's an abundance of private property in Yavapai County. There's more privately owned land in Yavapai County than anywhere else in the state. If you look at the total build-out plan for the year 2050, it's incredible what private land ownerships have and want to deal with land to build housing, subdivisions. They all want to do this with the lack of water. The second thing in there is water, and we have to have the ability to conserve it, watch over it, and take care of it. I think if we work hard on everything and work together, that's what it will be all about. But being rural is probably the most important thing. Open spaces, riding horses if that's what you like to do, riding motorcycles if that's what you like to do. I think we need to keep our areas that way, and the ability to let all citizens have the opportunity to do what they like to do best. Thank you.
I've had some folks come to me in the past and say, why did you pick the map that you picked? We didn't want that map. We wanted 2 supervisors from the Verde Valley. And you got to understand, folks, and I agree with what Martin said, is your people is your #1 asset. That's always that way. But you have to do like-kind communities. And you know, with the map that I picked, you had 20,000 people on the other side of the mountain, like it or not, that had to be part of the Verde. 20,000 people. So one map had 20,000 people out of the Prescott Valley area, and the other map pulled 20,000 people out of the Dewey-Humboldt Mayer area. One of the criteria the Department of Justice had on us was that you had to have like-kind communities. And what's more like-kind when you guys have 5 state parks, 3 national forests, Coconino, Prescott, and Tonto, are in Yavapai County. You have this fantastic rural feel to this area. You have more in common with Dewey-Humboldt than you did ever with Prescott Valley. And that's the map I chose. It's not what some of these people are saying. And so with that, the only other thing would be that you had to have affirmative action. Affirmative action had to be that you either had one district created for a minority, or you had all 5 being equal with minority. Well, the minorities in Yavapai County, as we know, are spread out all over. There was no way to create a district with just one district being ran by a minority supervisor. And so this is how we are. We're rural Arizona. And with what's going on here in the Verde Valley, I'm very proud. Supervisor Davis had some money left over in his park funds. He had $500,000 when I came in. I had 65,000. He had $500,000 left over. He offered to give state parks some of that money so they could stay open. And I was right on board with him, and the board approved that, and I'm very proud of that.
Okay, thank you. This question has a couple of parts. How do you propose to represent a diverse and large district with varying interests as District 2? And how do you see your relationship with the other Verde Valley communities? What is your focus? And we start with John.
Repeat that one more time, please.
Okay. How do you propose to represent a diverse and large district with varying interests, as is District 2? And how do you see your relationship with the other Verde Valley communities? What is your focus in the Verde Valley communities?
Well, I'll start with the second part first, but the focus is the ability to get along, share, and do what we've always done, preserve and protect the Verde Valley and the citizens. In working with the newest portions of our rural area, the Mayer, Verde, Cordes Lakes and Dewey area, we're all going to work together. We are all the same. It is the same county. My first choice would have been to recede from the Union and have our own county. But what it is what it is. So what we need to do is improvise, go together and work forward and share everything together. These people we're all in this together. At both ends of the district, we have pine trees from Stoneman Lake. We have pine trees at Crown King. It's all the same type of people, same rural people, same open areas. So we have a lot in common, and we have the ability to work together. When I attend these community meetings that I've been in these smaller towns, these people have the same problems that we do. They have the same goals that we do. We're all in it together. The same problems that Camp Verde has. Everybody in the county has the same issues and same problems. But in finding these people and knowing these people and working with these people, we can all join together and work it out. Still got 36? Cool. But, and I truly believe that, and I truly believe in attending other community meetings and listening to their problems and concerns. And it's very important that we all know where everybody's coming from and getting together. We all have the same problems, we have the same issues, but everybody has the same idea about fixing them and working together. Thank you.
Just in fact, even today, I've been working with the Verde Valley Regional Economic Development Organization on getting some funding. They were lucky to get $200,000 loan, or a grant, shall I say, from the USDA. With that money, we can use that as seed money to actually create what they call an incubator, or it's a way to create jobs. We did the same in Flagstaff through NACOG. We have an incubator up there also. and it's worked out great. I've been heavily working with NACOG on bringing many projects down here through economic development. Local Workforce Investment Board has been doing a great job. We have the Industrial Authority also has been doing a great job for job creation in this area. That's how we can have connectivity. We are like kind. As I alluded to before, I picked the map. I wanted map D, Supervisor Springer wanted map A, Supervisor Davis wanted map C. And again, nobody got along. I had to break the tie. So what I looked at was the like-kind communities, and that's why we are. We're not diverse with Prescott Valley like it would have been. We are more like-kind now with the Dewey-Humboldt Mayor Black Canyon City corridor. This is a perfect way, getting some of these grant funds to work with Cottonwood, to work with Clarkdale, to work with Jerome, to work with the wine industry. They had a wine meeting today. And they're looking at ways to get more tourism in through that winery industry. It's many, definitely, not only do we have a lot in common with the other groups here in the Verde Valley, but we also have it with the other side of the mountain. They're looking at possibly doing, a long time ago, there used to be a winery up there at I-17 and 169. And so it's a great area. The elevation works and the climate works for growing grapes. So, you know, I'm very optimistic on what we can do here for this county.
Beautiful. One of the things I intend to do is really follow closely these lawsuits that are happening with the IRC, the independent redistricting, especially statewide. It really troubles me that they have come up with a thought that Maricopa County has the same interests as we do in Yavapai County, and those districts got split to the point where it's unbearable. It's almost a slap in our face to consider that someone from Metro Phoenix area could understand the rural issues that we have in this county. That's very important to me. I want to make sure that we follow those through and be a loud, outspoken voice that this needs to change. It was doing pretty good before. I know they had to redraw them, but I don't think we had a loud enough voice to redraw them correctly. One of the things that I did, or one of the things I want to do, is be a bridge builder to both sides of the mountain. I don't see a mountain there. I've heard from a lot of people on this side. They want to know, where do you live, Martin? And then when I tell them where I live in Dewey, the answer sometimes has been, oh, you're from over there. Well, I'm sick and tired of that. I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm going to end this war. I'm going to find a way to end this war. Russ Martin, your town manager, said it best. He said, Martin, the best thing you could do is build a bridge of unity. We have to. He says that's what he did coming here from Steamboat Springs, Colorado. He built a bridge. I intend to build a bridge of unity as well. And one of the things I did for the county a couple years back, of course I wasn't in government, but I had to learn because we did some videos that are on the county assessor's website. I invite you to go to that website and then look at the videos that are on that website. And it was all what to do when you get your tax bill. You know, when you get your tax bill in February, doesn't make your day to say, my house is not worth that. And why are they billing me this much? And you're angry when you get your tax bill. But one of the things we did, if you watch to the very end of each video, we did 5 videos, but if you watch to the very end of I have extra points now. One of the things I did, at the very end of the video, we took a helicopter flight over the area of the Prescott area, the Mingus Mountain area, and we shot photos from there. At the end of the video, every video says, Yavapai County, what a beautiful place we live. It takes the edge off your tax bill.
Thank you. I want to ask a follow-up question to that. I think we believe a personal relationship with each community is really important. What strategy do you have to maintain that personal relationship with each community within the district? And we start with Tom.
As I've proven in my own district, as I said before, I have multiple communities that are unincorporated. And when you're a supervisor over a community that is not a town or a city, you are a pseudo-mayor. And every one of my communities, not only do I have community meetings, but I get to know everybody in those communities. I see what their wants are, and I can tell you right now, I get call after call after call from a lot of them. Every community has their own appointed mayors, I think, and they kind of tell me where the potholes are, or what road needs to be fixed, or their neighbor is having, they think they're selling drugs or something. They typically come to the supervisor. It's surprising how often I get calls for things that really are not in my purview. But I know where to send them. I know how to fix these problems. I know what to do when grandma calls and she's having a hard time. You will have seen me, and you can get this from the newspapers, you can get it from any community center. I have personally gone to folks' homes that are trashed and are having problems, and if they're handicapped, they're elderly or something like that, I have gone out there myself and helped them clean their place. I've helped them work on drainage. I even had a trailer burnt down, half burnt down in a neighborhood, and the insurance company wasn't doing anything about it. It had been sitting there for a year, and you know, the rats were living in it. I went over there with a backhoe and a dumpster, and I took my backhoe, I had one at that time, and I busted it up into a ball and put it in that dumpster, and we hauled it off. I did that. The fire department had a drainage problem, and the contractor wanted like $18,000 to put in the culvert. I went over there and I did it for free. You know, this is what you do when you're a supervisor if you're truly going to do your job.
I think what I would look for in a supervisor is someone who is an effective listener, a good communicator and effective listener. When I was at the Corn Fest a few weeks ago, a couple came to me, and they had a real problem, a real serious problem. And you know, when I took the time to listen to them, they kept trying to stop, like, well, you're busy, you probably don't want to hear this. And I said, no, tell me, I want to hear. And when they told me the whole problem, I was in a state of shock on how drastic the problem was, but they said, no one has wanted to listen to us. That's, I think, the key thing in being a good supervisor is listening, not jumping to a conclusion, but getting all the relevant facts before we ever make a vote or a choice. And that's one thing I see, that with raising up some of these task force teams, that it would hold me accountable, not to make a rash decision, not to do something I would regret later, but have the whole county involved, get the public involved like they'd never been involved before. That's one of the things I see with the proper use of media we could do. We could attract a lot of attention to certain issues, to say, come to this meeting tonight and we'll get involved. With the other mayors and so forth, I've already started a good working relationship with some of the mayors, especially just to inquire what's happening in your town. And you know, people love to hear that. They just love, you want to know what's happening here, and they're more than willing to share with you. So that's the key thing for me, is being an effective listener and a good communicator.
I always believe the supervisor's job is always to be involved, work with the public, attend the community meetings, listen, always listen to what the public's telling you, and always get involved. If you got a backhoe sitting around, it's not doing nothing, you can assist somebody. I do it occasionally myself. I'll help the person that needs it. Many times it's happened to me that way. I'll come and look at a problem and help them resolve it. If I can't resolve it, we'll get the right person that can. You have to have the ability to know which direction to send people and how to work them. A lot of people are lost. They don't know, they're at the end of the rainbow or the end of the rope. They don't know which direction to go. I think that by listening and listen to both sides of it, you can get about anything resolved. If it can't be resolved, then there's something wrong with that problem. There's no reason that anything can't be done. And the ability to work with people and work together with people, you can make a lot of things happen. The number one thing is you do have to get people involved. You have to have them communicating well together and working together. We have a great opportunity for everybody to do this. We have a great opportunity to bring the county together, the entire county and District 2, by working together. We can resolve anything, and I'm looking forward to that challenge of doing that, and I will dedicate my time to do that.
Thank you. This next question refers to the Yavapai County Comprehensive Plan. Do you recognize that this entire plan is built on the framework of UN Agenda 21 policies? Do you support this effort, and will the voting public be allowed to accept or reject this plan after the Board of Supervisors votes this matter in September? Martin, you're first.
I have to answer that I don't know if it's on the agenda for them to vote on, but if it is, I want the public to be involved in that. I want the public to be able to say, we don't want it, any part of it. I don't know if you're really aware of what Agenda 21 is or what it will do, but Agenda 21 is all private property rights. You wouldn't have any private property rights. You wouldn't own your property. All forms of irrigation, pesticides, and commercial fertilizer are controlled by the United Nations. Use of fossil fuels, if you're trying to manufacture a diesel fuel, you wouldn't be allowed to. You wouldn't be allowed to use biodiesel. There's so many things that are coming down in Agenda 21 that's been signed on by, I think, 179 nations, maybe? There's so many things that are coming down the pike. You can just imagine gun control is next. I tell you, I want to speak loud, I want to speak clear. Anything that resembles, smells like Agenda 21, smells like UN control, looks like UN control, I'm not a part of it. I don't want to be a part of it. I'll vote it no. You can put me in jail if you have to, because I'm going to speak loud and speak clear. We're not going there. We're not going to go down this path. I've been in nations where you have socialistic governments, communist governments, and I was there in Russia when the wall came down, and I watched these people become free. And I'm telling you, it was the most beautiful thing to see these people become free of 70 years of bondage. But they didn't know what freedom was in the beginning. They still thought they were in bondage. It took years for them. They're still even finding out what freedom is, but now Putin wants to put them back under communism. I was in Africa and see parts of Sharia law where there is no health care for women. There's no freedom of speech. There's no rights whatsoever at all, except a select elite few. It's not going to happen on my watch here.
John.
I won't use 2 minutes up on this issue. I'm a United States citizen. I believe in the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Heck with those other countries. I truly believe the commitment that I made and the oath that I took to protect the U.S. Constitution has nothing to do with the United Nations. I believe in America first, and we'll get that accomplished. We're going to take care of America first and let these other people sort this stuff out first. Pretty simple and cut and dried.
I've read the comprehensive plan. It's been changing still. It morphs around. It just was passed with some more changes by the Planning and Zoning Commission. If you take the minute to read it all in its context, it basically states a way to save water. It states that it has the ability to try to make one size fit all for Yavapai County, which is very hard. I don't see how Sedona and the Village Oak Creek has anything in common, to be honest with you, with the community of Congress or Wilhoit. So it has to be fairly open, fairly blasé, if you will, in my opinion. But what it states in there, one is it's a very good history of Yavapai County. If you read it all, it tells a lot about the history of Yavapai County. The other is it's promoting things like cluster housing, as I alluded to earlier. Cluster housing is where all the houses are close together and the infrastructure is much easier to do, and they all have big backyards. And they do less housing than lot splits. Lot splits have been the ire of everybody in Yavapai County for years and years and years because there's no regulation with lot splits. And don't get me wrong, I've done lot splits. Other supervisors have done lot splits. It's legal. But when you have, let's say, a 40-acre ranch, you're allowed to take it down to 1 house per 2 acres. That's 20 homes. 20 straws going into an aquifer, if there is one. 20 septic tanks, dirt roads, a long ways between for electrical. This is wrong. This is why the comprehensive plan was created, to try to slow this down and giving direction to developers that know this is not what we want. But I'm going to be the first to tell you, I took an oath too, to the Constitution of the United States, and private property is one of the number one items in the Constitution, okay? And with that is, if you bought a piece of land, you are entitled to do what the zoning was when you bought it. And I have to stop again.
Okay. Thank you. What do you see as the main responsibility of a county supervisor? John, you get to start.
I think main responsibility is to watch over and supervise the departments. You don't have to watch over them, but supervise them. Be sure that they are adequate in their needs. Listen to their needs. Your responsibility lies with the taxpayers, ensuring that their tax dollars are well spent, never added to, and always ensure that they get their money's worth. We have to watch over and take care of our district and be sure that our roads are improved, our people are taken care of, and do the best of our abilities to do that. I believe that when it comes to budget time, that it should be a line-by-line item where you can keep an eye on that and just overlook that. I'm a true believer in letting a man do his job. I believe that our department heads are all do well at what they do. They're hired, they work well, and they will continue to work well. I believe the supervisor's job is to ensure you keep a good relationship with them and to be involved with the public. And I think that's the best way to do it. And when you let a man or a department head do what he needs to get done, he advises you what needs to be done, shows you any problems he's having. You have to have the ability to work with him and make things happen and work well together. Thank you.
We have approximately 18 different departments. At this time, we're at about 1,650 employees. It changes a little bit. At one time, we were over 1,900 employees in 2005 when the boom was going on. I believe the number one reason that I was elected by the constituents was to the constituent, really. I mean, I am their liaison to the bureaucracy called government. I am that in-between guy. And I can tell you this, I've had it over and over and over again where I've had to sit down with contractors, homeowners, subdividers, federal agents, county employees at our own level that they have problems. I have to, you'll see that I don't pass the buck. I don't. And to do this job correctly, you can't. The number one in state statute, absolutely, the budget. That's the number one job you have. And I can tell you right now, if you look at my record, it's been exemplary. I've cut taxes everywhere we could. We've done this too without laying off more than 8 people since 2005. We've dropped that many employees, over 250 employees, and we've only had to lay off 8. And that was in the building department because, as you can imagine, for a couple of years there wasn't hardly anything going on in the building department. So that we couldn't do any lateral transfers on that. But the rest of it has been because they retired or they, they moved on to other jobs. We're losing people left and right again. We used to be that in 05, 06, and 07, but then they held on to their jobs. But now things are perking up some. And we're losing deputies to other municipalities because they pay a lot more money. I'm going to tell you that right now. All you got to do is drive down the street and park in a different parking spot, and they make more money. And we're also a training ground for a lot of that's going on. So we need to, when we get a good employee, we need to keep it. And if you've ever been in private business, that was my number one thing is you do what you could to keep a good employee. Thank you.
It's always nice when Mr. Thurman speaks before me. He defines it so well. What he said was very good. We're just enjoying this process. But in addition to that, one of the things that I see the supervisor doing is being a visionary, seeing the future today. Our future is making demands on our present, and whenever that happens, change is inevitable. The very essence of life is change, and the very essence of change is growth. One of the things that I've done throughout the country is I was a troubleshooter. I had to identify problems and solve problems. I think one of the things that I would do as a supervisor that I think Mr. Thurman's done very well is, you know, when you're a department head, all you can see is your department and how that department's flowing. You really can't see how it ties in with the big picture. But I see beyond the big picture and how we can make improvements, streamlining through the eyes of efficiency. I don't want to lay off people as well. I don't want to cut services. And that kind of was what we said was some of the answers was cut services. I don't want to see that happening. I want to see ways we can create new jobs, not jobs in government. I want to see the private sector jobs. One thing I think that as a supervisor I will do, I promise you I'll do, is I'll find a way, if these medical marijuana dispensaries are going to be legal, I'll find a way to tax it. Do I still have time left? I have time? My God, I could go on. Kidding. Thank you.
All of you have said that water is a very important issue. Can you tell us more? What can you do as a supervisor to protect our water resources? Tom.
First of all, as I alluded to before in the comprehensive plan, and something that I've pushed my whole life in the construction industry, is the use of effluent. That can be reused. If you're not on a sewer plant, you don't need to be dumping your dishwasher, your washing machine. You don't need to be dumping your shower into your septic tank. Actually, it's bad for the septic tanks. We can use that water you can use the water out in your lawns. You take that, they call it gray water. And you can be watering whatever trees that you have in there. On new subdivisions, I would love to see the supervisors agree that no new subdivisions were ever created with nothing but indigenous type of trees. That means no grass, rock landscaping, trees that grow around here like junipers and shrub type things like manzanita, things like that. They still make a beautiful lawn. You separate them far enough so you have fire, you can reduce the ladder fuels in case of a fire. There's so many ways we can help. We can also use the water coming off your roof and take that into little cisterns. It's very reasonable to do that now, and you can use that for whatever you want, your plants, or try washing your car with rainwater. It is the most fantastic thing there is. So there's multiple ways that we can conserve this water without constantly just drilling another well. And I'm going to tell you, the biggest culprit to the Verde River and its conditions right now that we have in the Verde after it hits the Verde is the Verde. And so we have constantly more and more wells being drilled around the Verde River. And SRP is sitting down there in Phoenix just waiting one of these days to say, you know what, we're going to trump you guys. We believe that you are now pumping situational water from us coming into Maricopa County. And that's when the fights come in. And we want to be here at a local level to fight that, not in some Washington, D.C. basement.
Am I next?
Yes, Martin.
You know, SRP is, they're moving an office up to Camp Verde very soon. And it really concerns me because there's so many issues regarding SRP. They really believe that they're the owners of the Verde. And kind of concerns me a lot that, you know, who actually owns the Verde? Where's this water going? Where's it from? Who owns it? That's some of the things I want to see resolved. You know, seeing planes fly over the Camp Verde area and the Verde Valley area. If your fields are too green, all of a sudden you get a knock on the door by SRP. You get fined, maybe taken to court. This has got to stop. I talked to a builder today who actually had 120 lots that he had split, and because of where that building site sits, 120 lots, it's Prescott water. But if in fact the development is in Chino Valley. But now the city of Prescott is charging a $10,000 impact fee to the builder. City of Chino Valley is charging $3,800 to the builder. And the building permit's $3,600, $19,000 to build a home. Responsible home, energy efficient home, But are you telling me that we're going to try to stop all building within the county? Is this how we're going to do it? By finding somebody these impact fees all over the county? The issue is, how do we solve this water problem? As someone who thinks outside the box, I want to talk about something different. I think it's possible. I've seen it in other parts of the world. I know you think I'm crazy, but desalination works. We have an ocean right nearby. We're drilling pipelines in every direction around. We could bring a pipeline here in 10 to 20 years and cause salt water to become fresh water. Usable water would solve the problem. I'm all for that. People say it wouldn't work. I say let's look at the future today.
I think as a supervisor, they have to get really active in conservation and education. We're going to have to educate the people. Influence water can be pumped back in the ground. We talk about gray water. I'm from Flagstaff, Arizona. We raised or used gray water the entire time that I grew up. That's what we watered the pinon trees with, or the garden. Later times and years, building codes and stuff prevented. Right here in Yavapai County, as you couldn't do that. When I built my first house here around 30 years ago, that was part of the deal. We'd always run the washing machine out on the lawn. Well, that wasn't the code, and you couldn't have it. So I think that the supervisors need to look into that, change that, and then on any upcoming building or subdivisions, they need to put things in place to collect rainwater and utilize gray water nicely or wisely. People that buy property out in the middle of the desert, and they buy it because it's a beautiful place to live, and they move there and then they level their property and then they plant a lawn in it. That makes no sense to me, but I will represent their property right to do that. People like to change things different than what it was. If you own irrigated property and it's green, it needs to be kept green. Real fast about SRP, I've been working with them quite a bit on the groundwater. I work with the irrigation ditch company, and yeah, they're watching us real close. They're trying to establish our historic water rights, which we all have, and they're trying to find out which ones are available. So if they're, I don't know they're moving an office here, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But we meet with them quite often, and a couple times a month. Thank you.
We have a few minutes left before the candidates will be making their closing statements. I'd like to open to questions from the floor. Let me give you just a little comment on how that has to be done. Please, if you're going to do a question, ask the question. I will cut you off if you start making comments and editorializing. So if you have a question for the candidate, I invite you to ask it now. And please speak loudly so the candidates can hear. Okay. With that, we're now going to go to our closing statements. Since all of the candidates asked me from the beginning for extra time, and we have a little extra, I'm going to expand the closing statements to 3 minutes each. So it'll give you a little more time to respond. And the first candidate for closing statements is John McReynolds.
Wasn't I first last time? No. I'm a rural person. I believe in water rights. I believe in property rights. I know I can represent District 2 well. I can represent Yavapai County well. I don't have a lot of political experience, but I'm honest. I speak with my heart. I shoot from the hip. I'll tell you how the cow ate the rhubarb. I will share each and every thought and idea with you. I will serve and supervise our district and ensure that we receive and share our share of our county resources. I will look at, study, review all issues brought before me. I will look at all sides of the issues. I will make good, sound decisions and common sense. I will report back to you with the reasoning of my decision. I only ask for your trust and your fellowship. I will work very hard for our district. When I make a commitment, I stay with it. I work hard at what I do, In 30 years of being in business, I didn't do it alone. I did it with my business partner, my campaign manager, and my lovely wife. It takes support from all. I'm willing to spend the next 4 years on dedicating my life to the county and to all the people in our district. I'll work hard at it. I won't let you down, and thank you for your vote.
I think you can research my track record. You'll see how I voted. You'll see the job that I've done, and I'm very happy with the job I've done. I've had endorsements, as I said earlier, by the Sheriff's Department, including Scott Masher, even the Sheriff before him, Sheriff Waugh. I have endorsements from multiple mayors. I have endorsements from chambers of commerce. I have endorsements from newspapers. I have endorsements from fire chiefs, multiple fire chiefs, and multiple police chiefs. These people didn't, they offered this to me. I didn't come over begging to them to do this. They know the job that I can do, and I can do that. Folks, I brought the Yavapai County Health Annex, the new one. I brought it to the Board of Supervisors in Cottonwood. I voted with Supervisor Davis to bring the courthouse next to our jail and remodel that. I brought, all three of us brought to ADOT the 260, as I alluded to earlier, accelerating that by 5 years. I have the experience, I have the connections, I can make it happen. Both of these folks here next to me are great guys. I've got to know both of them. I've known John for a while. He's been on our health board. You know, either one would be a great supervisor, don't get me wrong. But right now, I have the experience. I live in the Mayor area. I raised my kids in Dewey-Humboldt. I've been here in Yavapai County basically since we moved back here in the late 70s. If you want somebody that doesn't have a learning curve, if you want somebody that can get going right from the beginning, if you want somebody, if times get scary again, that's gone through scary times and made it through and still drop property taxes, I would hope that you would vote for me, because I'm willing to do it, I'm happy to do it, and I enjoy doing it. It doesn't, you can ask my wife, I'm not home a lot, but that's okay, because you know, I had asthma as a kid, so they wouldn't take me in the service. So I've done all my life, I've done things to help the community as much as I can in my country. And this one here, you can get more done and help more people than you ever could. And it sounds corny, but that's how I really feel. So if you vote for me, you'll see that I do a good job. Thank you.
How many of you haven't voted yet? That went over like a lead balloon. Chip Davis said to me, Martin, why are you running? Are you running to be the big man on campus, or are you running because you truly have intent in your heart for the safety and development of these citizens in this county? And I said, my gosh, yes, Chip, that's exactly what I want to run for office for, is for these citizens. What I see this position as being is a person of real integrity, a person of extreme honesty above reproach. I see this as a person who keeps his word, he says it, and then he keeps his word and follows through. I see us as somebody in a county that needs a pioneer of fresh vision. We need somebody who's a champion of cooperation, getting things done on whatever plane that may be on. And that's also what I've had to do for years and years. Running a business, running a construction company in 2 states, I've had to do that. You have to sort out problems. Being in Fortune 500 companies, you just have to sort out problems and work with people. Every success I've ever had in life was enabling other people, and then they're successful, and it somehow made me look successful. I never took credit for it, but I always enabled people to become something great. That's my heart. As an international minister, I've seen a lot of different countries. I've seen a lot of different methodology, and I've seen a lot of things that could be brought right here to this county. Talk about jobs. I've heard some people talk about, well, we need jobs. Well, I'm going to tell you one specific job that we could create right now. I need a little bit of help to do it. I can't do it alone. But the nation of South Africa is crying out desperately for an export of American-made semi-trucks. I have the connections. If I wouldn't have got sick in 2008, I had 6 strokes and hospitalized 5 times and died once. But if that hadn't happened, I would have had a contract signed for 40 semi-trucks to be exported to South Africa. What they're asking for now is not only semi-trucks, American-made semi-trucks that have been on American roads, but they're also asking for parts, containers full of parts, as many as we can ship over to them. I think that would create almost 50 jobs, just that alone. So I'll give you common sense approaches on very specific things that I would do, not just generalities. We need jobs, but I'll tell you specifically what and what I'm going after. I would appreciate if you would consider me for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Verde Valley, I would like to thank the 3 candidates for being here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, didn't you hear
John
that?
did
What
first.
kind of a great guy I was?
Oh, yeah. I'll go for it.
I would like to thank all the candidates for being here this evening, and I'd also like to thank you, the audience, for your participation. As you all know, democracy doesn't work unless we're all working together. I'd like again to thank the American Legion for providing this space. And I want to remind you that if your question wasn't answered or you would like to have a private conversation with one of our candidates, they will be available after the forum. And then lastly, 2 reminders. Remember those voters registered as unaffiliated, no party designation, independent, can vote in the primary election. These voters choose a ballot of the party of their choice from those that are on the primary ballot. This does not re-register you as a member of that party. So in other words, everyone please get out and vote for the August 28th primary. Thank you for coming, and good night.